Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily for this Friday night. Tonight is all about the date, or a date with Destiny Part 3. We're on to the month of October, so we're going to look through all the games in that month. But of course, as things stand, as we record and as we broadcast, there's a lot going on with regards to the coronavirus, which we're going to discuss later on in the show, along with random questions, where the league stands, where European football stands, the Euros, all sorts of stuff that will go on around the coronavirus. But we are going to look at October first. I have Keith and I have Chris with me tonight, so we're going to have a good look at these fixtures. I think there's 6 or 7 games, but a lot of them have talking points in them. None of them really straightforward when you actually look at it, maybe bar one. Look, let's see how we get on. Let's go. And here we go. It is a month of October in the season 1920, which we're going to go look back on now. And Keith, I'm going to come to you first. So, the month of October, I'm going to get this up in front of me, Keith, very, very professionally. And I'm going to say to you, the first game in this month was Wednesday, the 2nd of October. And we start at home to Salzburg in the European Cup. And it goes from the sublime to the ridiculous and back to the sublime again, if you remember this game.
Yeah,
Keith,
I do.
It was the game where, we lost at Napoli in the first game of the Champions League, and Salzburg were bashing Genk 5-2 or something along them lines. And they come to Anfield, and if they didn't put their name up in lights in the first game of the Champions League, they most definitely done it that night, didn't they?
They did indeed, and you're spot on there, Gav. It really was a game of nearly two halves. Now, I know it wasn't exactly that way, but we raced into a lead that night, and we looked absolute mustard in that game. And then didn't see them getting away back into it at all, but they did. Erling Braut Haaland had a bit of a reputation for scoring goals, and he came on, impacted it. We saw that first glimpse of Minamino, who we turned out was going to become one of our own not too long after that. Mm-hmm. And they had players all over the place that were impressive that night. Wang and a lot of the other guys there that really made a bit of an impression on us. But I thought the first half, when we went into a 3-0 lead, we were playing some excellent stuff. Some of the goals in this game were sensational.
Yeah, they were absolutely brilliant. And Chris, After losing away at Napoli, it was one where we thought we need to get back on track here. It's very, very important, and it is a game where we come out and we destroy this for the first half an hour. Like we pull them asunder, and you're looking at 3-0 going, this could be anything, and then they get one back before half time, and you're thinking this still could be anything, but it went very strange after that, then, didn't it?
Yeah, it went very like early KLOPP in the second half. It was like, you score 3, we'll score 4, which we thought we'd kind of moved away from a little bit. So, but I must admit, going into the game, I was looking forward to it because it's not very often now in Europe you go, I've never played these before. So it's quite nice to see an exciting side going, do you know, I've never seen this. Yeah, never played. So it's like when we played Bayern last year, you're a bit like, we haven't played Bayern since the 70s. So you're like, it's quite nice seeing someone a bit different. And yeah, second half, the pace and speed they had was just, you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. I think we did help them along the way, but yeah, two of their star players now play for different clubs, which shows how good the talent was they had there.
Yeah, they've been picked apart a little bit in the January. If you look at they've lost Haaland, they've lost Minamino. I think 1 or 2 more were being looked at, but it hasn't happened. But they're 2 standout players they lost. But Keith, thinking back to October, like I said, you're going into this one, you're going, this has to be a win. We can't be drawing or losing here because we're leaving ourselves with way too much messing about then, aren't we? If we mess this up.
Yeah, it was the whole season, Gav, really from the very start was pressure. You know what I mean? It's every game nearly, but we're in a situation that every game was a must win. In the league, because of the pressure we'd had with Man City the year before, and we knew what was going to be required to have a push at the league, but also the Champions League to be the defending champs and coming in with a bit of a swagger. You know, we didn't get the best start against Napoli, and we really needed to do something in this game. And we started off like a team that meant business. You know that, like the goals when they came, like were the first two certainly were two wonderful goals, and we looked the business in it. But then, as you say, a flick of the switch, it was maybe a sign of things to come, that we weren't as, what I say, focused as we probably should have been in certain games this season. And we let a good team, it has to be said, back into it. And even still, even when they went to 3-3, I was still fairly confident that we could have got something out of it, because I think they got their goals in a bit of a cluster, wasn't it? What was the minutes the two goals they got back, I think, were fairly quickly one after another.
They 4 minutes apart.
Just to run you through the game, right? Sadio Mane scores in the 9th minute. If you remember, he slipped in, and it's a good finish. Robertson scores a brilliant goal where it's a move from back to front, and he ends up on the end of a Trent cross. And then Salah makes a 3-0 with it kind of drops him in the box, and he puts it away. Keeper's quite poor, if I remember rightly. Wang gets a goal back on 39. Then Minamino scores on 56 from the edge of the box, and then Haaland makes a 3-3 on 60. So it was one of those where it literally, we were in full control, 5 minutes before half time, and then on an hour, within 15 minutes of the game, in 20-minute spell, we're back to 3-3, and we're looking going, this is dodgy. Keith, it was genuinely dodgy. You're going, we need to click here. We need to get going here, because
it was
at that
dodgy,
stage it looked like we were losing the game.
Yeah, no, it was dodgy now, I have to say. But for some reason, I still thought we could get, and I don't know if it was in Europe, you have this sort of impression that Liverpool can be not invincible. Obviously, we're on the back of a defeat in their first game, but that we sort of ANFIELD on a European night and can happen. And I remember thinking at the time, Jesus, I didn't think they'd have came back into it, but we were so dominant in the first half, and you could see it. It really did look like we took our foot off the gas after going 3-0 up in this game. It wasn't like we were lucky to get in with that lead, and they just got too lucky. Like, we literally seemed to have taken a 10% off our performance, and it just let them back in. And as you said, maybe we were caught cold by them, that we weren't expecting them to be as good as they were. Because I do remember on the night, I thought I was very impressed with them. They moved the ball quick, they were pressing, they were a very good team. But I still thought we had enough in us to win it. Now, the longer it goes, the more nervous you're getting. Mm-hmm. But I thought we could still have got something out of it. And, for the goal to come then, our fourth goal, to come when it comes, really sort of, I think it was 10 minutes after there, when it eased the nerves a bit, that way. Yeah. And I thought once we got that back in front again, it really took the wind out with their sails as well.
Somebody says in the chat there, it was actually the game that said to him that we weren't completely concentrated on winning the Champions League this season, that we looked a bit lethargic in what we were doing. I don't think we were in the first 25, but after that, you could argue between 30 and 60 we were, and then it just becomes a ding-dong and battle, and Salah manages to get the winner. But look, we had to get off the mark. We really, really did, because like if we're 2 games into that Champions League now, and we're 1 point or we're no points, we're in serious trouble. So to get those 3 points was absolutely huge. We move on then from that to this Saturday, the 5th of October, we play Leicester at home. Now, I did say on the last show that if you watch the Chelsea game, you see that all the VAR stuff kicks up a fuss, and then this is when it goes again. So we go
this month, I think, is when it goes again.
Yes, it really goes. The next game in particular. But Chris, we play Leicester. The overview of the game for me was battered them. Managed to get a goal with Mane, I think, a couple of minutes before half time. They managed to get one back with Maddison, and we get a penalty from Milner at the last minute of injury time after Mane is taken down. But do you know what? For me, Chris, I don't know what you feel about this. This is when the fear sets into everyone else in the league, and this is where people are looking, going, we don't think we can stop this Liverpool side, because the hatred after this game, because Liverpool got a decision which was a correct decision, just showed to me how good this Liverpool side and how feared this Liverpool side was.
Oh yeah, I was at this game because I was losing my rag with a certain section of our fan base in the ground who decided 1-1. Right, lads, let's go. I was like, fucking hell, this is what Liverpool do. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I do seem to remember this chap in front of me. One fellow walked past him because he was leaving, because we got the penalty. He went to come back in his seat and he pushed him out. Went, no mate, you fucked off. Off you go. But which was quite amusing. But no, yeah, to be honest, this was my first game at Anfield since the Tottenham 2-1 from the previous year, which nearly gave me a heart attack. So. I have been saying to my brother, you got to give me tickets to a game. Can I not have ones where I have heart attacks in, the 90th minute? But it was a bizarre tackle by Albrighton, who literally was brought on to, I think, just shore things up, and
just to help us fall back.
Just to help his fullback.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I think he overruns the ball and he sees money. He panics and he just belts him in the leg.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's such a fuss over it. It's like he just kicked him in the leg. He's entitled to go down there. Why wouldn't he be? And then James Milner does what James Milner does, which is just slots pens away. And then the fun thing at the end was then I think Lallana was squaring up to
Everybody.
Johnny Evans.
Everybody.
Johnny Evans.
That was Robbo, was it?
No, it was definitely Lallana because he tries to get the ball and then he ends up squaring up to Johnny Evans, which is quite a height difference, and it's quite funny. So,
yeah,
but yeah, and I think that's also a game where KLOPP called out the main stand again, which is always quite funny.
Yeah, like Kevin Sullivan says, what I remember of that game is we were brilliant in the first half, then believe the hype in the second. Obviously, that's going back to the Salzburg game, but on this one, there's loads of stuff going in about the coronavirus. Like Stephen Kingsbury says, finish the season in September or October by playing 2 games per week. New season November to May, no cups. We will get all that, I promise. Owen Burke says Maddison goal would have been saved by Alisson. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, it would have been.
I think it would have been as well. And it was probably, I think it was their only shot on target. They 2 shots all day.
Yeah, it was.
Their only shot on target. And I think I remember Keith. I don't know whether it was a player or was it their manager. Was it Rodgers come out and said, we deserved the point. We were
it was
Rodgers.
Rodgers came out saying that.
And I felt like no, you didn't really, Brendan.
Yeah. You see, he was playing to the gallery a bit with that one, we deserved it, we done well. They got a Scaldi goal out of 2 shots on target. They got one of them, out of 2 shots, 1 on target, and that was the goal. They didn't create, and there was a narrative created there that Liverpool were lucky. It's carried on all season, in fairness, you know what I mean? Like, Liverpool were lucky, they got a penalty. As you said, it was a deserved penalty. He shouldn't have been fouling him in the box. I don't know what Albrighton was thinking, or the whole Leicester defence were a bit at sea on that. Schmeichel was a bit undecisive, and there was a bit of messing about. You know what I mean? But I just couldn't understand the take. I know, right? A manager will always defend his team and will always try and look. I think Leicester might have thought they were on for a good season without knowing maybe how good they could have been. And he was just trying to, we held our own, we done this, we didn't let Anfield intimidate us. But I thought they were garbage that day, to be totally honest. I thought we absolutely milled them, and the scoreline doesn't show that.
No, I don't think the scoreline did show it. I think we dominated them from start to finish. I don't think they were used to what we were doing. Chris, if I remember rightly, we nearly played with 2 number 10s in this game. He does shift it a slight bit, and he mixes it up, and Leicester just don't know where to handle it and don't know how to deal with it. And it's a really important win, isn't it? Even though we're on a great run, but we don't want to be pegged back by Leicester, who come and just look to frustrate us for the whole game and nick a goal. Chris, it's one of those where you walk out of the ground going, that's a huge win. Even though it's early in the season, it felt huge.
Oh, he did feel huge. It was also one of the demons of the previous season diminished, because obviously that's one of the games where we did drop points in. We did drop many last year. So again, it was just one of those, that's a game where we got pegged back and we couldn't quite get the win. Whereas this time we made sure we did it. We did it. So it was a huge win. And Leicester have kind of shown that all year, which is they're a decent side. I think just when they come up against the very, very best, like us and City, they're probably still 2-3 players short of getting to that level. But we did show, as we saw last season, they're going to give a lot of teams a decent game. But the only gripe we had in that game was we probably weren't clinical enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan says, good morning, gents. Good morning, Dylan. If it's your morning, best of luck. It is your morning, and good morning to you. But look, it's one of those where I just did feel it was a huge win. I just felt it was one of those where, we're on a great run, and it would have been extremely frustrating. And the decision itself for the penalty, it was a penalty, and people can go on about it all day. The people are going back, and you had people in studios going, "No, he's gone over too easy." And I remember Sky, a fella saying to Sky, Sky were nearly telling people, if he'd have stayed up and he got tackled, he wouldn't have been given the penalty. And then arguing his own point by saying, well, he's gone down there to get the penalty. It was mad stuff from Sky. Mad at the time. So, look, I don't know what to say about Sky anymore. I really don't, but we leave it at that. The following weekend, two weekends later, we go to Manchester United and we drew 1-1.
We were shite in this game.
And we were appalling in this game. And this is the game I always point back to when the likes of Henderson was atrocious. He was out on the right. He was all over the place. We go 1 down to a goal again, Keith, that was a bit controversial because a lot, even I think Gary Neville even felt in the stadium that Divock Origi had been fouled. The game goes on and United score from that, and everyone feels this is going to be pegged back. And we're in this period of time when VAR was not being overruled, and this is what was getting a lot of people's backs up.
Yeah, I'm going to say something slightly controversial, contradicting the both of you. I didn't think we were that bad in this game. I thought United got off to a better first half, maybe better first, 35 minutes. Then I thought we got on top of them, and I thought the second half, I felt we were the better side by a long way. So I think the goal went in, and the controversy around the goal, I think, had everyone fuming. Now there was a few. Hendo, as you say, he got slaughtered.
We look
for his performance on that, but I thought Trent was a bit off the pace that day, and I thought Henderson was doing too much, nearly covering for him. He spent too much. I think, didn't we shift formation and Henderson actually played on the right side of midfield?
We went 4-4-2 at one point, didn't we? It was one of those games where, I think we've said this before, is if one of the front three are out, as in Salah, it was out of this game. We started Origi on the left, which you understood because, he was generally first to go-to sub. But it was then that midfield that we play, which is one of a lot of games, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho. I think if you haven't got one of the front three available, that's when we're like, maybe you need something different in the midfield. And we actually looked pretty decent, I would say, the last half an hour, where, in fairness to Klopp, give him a lot of credit, is the three subs he brought on all made big impacts. Chamberlain gives us a bit more directness, gives us a threat from distance. Lallana linked up play really well, and obviously got the crucial goal. And Keita gives a little bit more guile, a bit of a clever pass. And in fact, those three sort of combined help us get ourselves back in the game. But for the first hour, I always felt we were just a bit pedestrian, a bit predictable, a bit unclock-like, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
I'd say first half, certainly. I don't agree with second half, but yeah, go ahead.
Second half, I know where you're coming from, Keith, but I remember doing the build-up to this game, and I think it might have been Grizz on with me doing the preview of it, and we were saying, we need to go out here and we don't want to know what United are about. They're none of our business. We need to go out here and we just stand on these early, dictate the tempo. If we have to hold on to the ball and be patient, absolutely fine. Work them, and we didn't.
No.
And we went out and we let them show us what they had. We fall into a trap and we lose a goal, and that gets them up for the game even more. And then we're struggling and we're treading water. We are treading water. We're doing no more than that, and that's what annoyed me most about this game. Don't get me wrong. I think if the game had went on another 5 minutes at the end, we would have won it. Lallana gets a goal. It's a good goal, and he does well to get into the back post. We grow into it from around 65-70, where we just take control, and I suppose maybe all the running United are doing, because we have a lot of possession, starts to get to them, and they're not a good side. So coupled with that, you end up, you will get chances, and we probably would have won it if you had ran it another 5 minutes or so, I think. But overall,
I thought we were standing on their neck, their throat at that stage.
Yeah, we absolutely were, but at the end of the day, we should have been doing it from minute one.
We should have. It's Klopp's kryptonite, really, isn't it? The Old Trafford game. He seems to. They could be fucking bottom of the league, and he'd show them too much respect and give them nearly a head start. Which you can't do in a stadium like that that's got 70-odd thousand shy bags in it. They'll all make a bit of noise. They'll all get on top of you. You know what I mean? And they should have went in and just went in with the chests out and started strutting their stuff. Obviously, United did get a bit of a head up from scoring their goal, but they were only interested in the counter attack that day, didn't think United was.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Like Kevin Sullivan said,
you have to deal with that. Yeah,
United played a 5-4-1 and pushed out on Trent. Didn't give him any time to pick his head up. But they, as the home side, did nothing to try win it. They just took a chance and they got a chance and they scored, and we had to go from there. KLOPP King says we always play crap after a break. United came after the break. Owen Burke says he's not sure why Klopp never goes for it at Old Trafford. Same every season. Klopp plays us safe, of course, as KLOPP King just said, and we played the occasion, not the opposition. We absolutely did. Yeah. And look, well, it's our first drop points of the season, and people are going, oh, that's the bubble burst, and for me, I wasn't too concerned. I wasn't concerned over the performance. I just thought we went about it the wrong way. But we showed our class towards the end of the game and probably should have won it. Moving on, we have Genk in the Champions League. We go away there and we win 4-1. Oxlade-Chamberlain gets a couple of nice goals there. I'm going to brush over that one because it was a fairly straightforward win, which was expected. The following league game, though, is Liverpool 2, Tottenham 1. And, Alisson is back for this one. He was back at Old Trafford. He's back in now. But if I remember rightly, Spurs take an early lead, Chris.
About 30 seconds in, it's the weirdest goal you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
I think it deflects off. I think it's Lovren. It deflects off. Nothing he can do. Yeah, Matthew Lovren deflects off him, hits the crossbar, and Kane.
Lovren there was.
Yeah, and Kane has a tap in from an inch, which according to Martin Tyler is the greatest headed tap in you'll ever see in your life. And to be honest, I think for Tottenham that was the worst thing that happened to him, because then they were like, right, 1-0 up. What do we do now? And if anything, Liverpool did a bit of a Fergie United, which is like the worst thing you could do is score against us, and we battered them for most of the game. And the goal, and I couldn't believe it was still 1-0 at half time. And then the best thing that happened, because he was getting a bit of stick and he wasn't in the best of form, Henderson had a really good second half and got the crucial equaliser. And then we got another pen again, which was which I think I tweeted and we talked about on the pre-show about this, which was Aurier. And my thing with Aurier was he's the French Moreno. He will always give you a chance and he'll do something stupid. Man is going absolutely nowhere and he just boots him in the air.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But Keith, again, we keep going back to finding ways to win. They go ahead on 30 odd seconds, and like you said, Harry Kane heads it in from 6 yards, and they're going on as if he's done something like Andy Gray would have done in the 70s. But Liverpool, in fairness to them, they don't panic and they dominate the game from there on in. Like, they dominate it. And
we absolutely battered them in this game. Their keeper, Gazzaniga, has a bleeding 10 out of 10 performance. He's pulling off saves left, right and centre. And there was another game in this month where you look at, or if you look back, I was looking back at the fixtures and the results, and you see Leicester 2-1 and you see this 2-1 and you're like, tough games. Nothing of the bleeding sort. We absolutely marmaladed both of them, but didn't get the goals. Weren't as clinical as we should have been. Now this game, I don't think it was down to not being clinical. Again, I think Gazzaniga, who came in from the cold for them, had an absolute stormer.
Yeah, and Dicko says the same. He said the Tottenham keeper played a blinder.
He did.
Yeah.
It was just one of those where we just battered them, and again we found another way to win. And Chris, before we move on to the next game, it's definitely at the stage then where people are saying these aren't stopping. These look absolutely relentless.
No, it's definitely there was obviously some murmurings before the season started. Is how would they react to finishing second on 97 points? Would the Champions League, almost like loses an edge because we finally won something? But this, when you start to go, these are a serious side now. We're not having the fun of 2 years ago where it's like 5-4, 6-3s. This is a clinical side now that wants to get the job done, which is pleasing. It's pleasing to see, and it's just like, especially in the summer, because there was a lot of hoopla about us buying nobody apart from Madrian. And look, I was probably part of that as well. I was thinking we should have bought someone. But it showed actually the squad we've got and the players we've got, as the season's proven, has a lot more depth and strength than people realise. And you're starting to see players come in and step up levels. Even Henderson now this year he doesn't score many. But when he has scored, they have been openers, equalisers, or Gino Ronaldo doesn't score many, but tend to be an equaliser, tends to be a winner.
Goals. Yeah.
They tend to, on midfield now, they may be getting 2 or 3, but they're not the 5th in a 5-0. They're always the equaliser.
Yeah.
And that's where they were starting to just add a few more strings to the bow. So, no, it was really good. And also, it's nice to have a club like Tottenham, who are always a rival, with that's something like 5 games now where we've kept them at arm's length and won. Which, let's be fair, before probably the last 2-3 years, Tottenham was always a bit of a pain for us, always a bit of a bogey side, always seemed to do quite well against us. We're starting to put that message to bed that, look, we can beat Tottenham. This is what we can do. So, yeah, it's just another really exciting win for Liverpool.
Yeah, it was. Keith, moving on, our last game of the month is a 5-5 draw against Arsenal in the League Cup, and this was absolutely, it was so much fun. I sat and watched this, and I didn't care if we won, lost, drew. I didn't care. Well, I think we're winning. If I remember, I think we're winning, and then we're losing, and then we're losing even more. And then we get back and they go ahead again. Then we get back, they go ahead again. It was just brilliant, Keith, wasn't it?
It was a mad game. I was actually looking back at it there yesterday, and when you look back, we went 1-0 up. I think Brewster scores, doesn't he, force for us?
Goal it
is. OG or something, is it? Yeah, an OG. And then they go, did they go 3-1 up?
They go 3-1 up, and then we get a pen right on half time.
Yeah, Milner pops that in. But some of the goals in this game from both sides were absolute crackers. The second half, like the Arsenal goals as well. There was, just quality goals all over the place in this game. But it was one of them. Even Kelleher was making saves, and every bleeding one of them was dropping at the feet 2 yards out of an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
It was just a mad game. Mad game. Divock then's getting overhead kicks and blasts into the top corner. It was just, it was a great game. But it was one of them that you looked at it and you thought, this League Cup team, I'm excited to see these second stringers.
Yeah. Do you know what? When we were 1-0 and 1-1 and 2-1 down, I wasn't bothered. 3-1, I wasn't bothered. But when we got it back to 3-3, I was like, come on, this is a bit of crack now. And then literally, like Chris, you'll see by the end, like we're 5-4 down, we're in the last minute, and Origi scores, and you can see Klopp on the sideline literally going, oh jeez, he's laughing his head off like, fucking hell, I'm doing my best to get out of this competition. I'm playing fellas that aren't even eligible, and I just can't get out of this competition no matter what I do.
Yeah. Well, this is actually my favourite game of the season because this was my daughter's first Anfield game.
Oh, well, what a game to go to.
So, her only other games at Anfield is a 19-goal game. So, I remember sitting with her when it was like 4-2 and Milner had just dropped an absolute clanger for them to go 4-2 up. And I said, well, at least she had loads of goals. And she was like, yeah, but I want us to win. And I must admit, it went off when Origi got the 5-5. She said, this is mad. Yeah. This is absolutely cracked. And then as soon as he went to penalties, I was just like, I can't see who's losing no penalties. And in fairness to my daughter, she called the save. She had called the save saying, I think he'll get this one. So she's, and then watching Curtis Jones do what he started doing in cup competition, which is score winners in cup competitions, which was great. And Nico Williams announced himself, which was, he had a tough first half, but second half was really good. I think he put the cross in for the overhead kick by Divock.
Yeah.
But it was a mad game. The funniest thing was the three of the worst players on the pitch were the three most experienced in Lallana, Chamberlain and Keita. Probably all three of them didn't have their best games, despite the fact Chamberlain scores a worldie.
It was just brilliant. And, it was great for the likes of these young lads, Keith, that get to play. And, look, getting to play is great. Going away to MK Dons is great. Shrewsbury in the Cup is great. But when you look at we'll talk about Shrewsbury later on as we get through this series, but playing at Anfield against Arsenal, and I think this sounds a bit mad, but going 3-1 down was probably a good thing for them because the crowd went, these could get a hiding here. We get behind them, and the place just went mad. And it was just stuck behind them, and you could see them growing in stature all the time. You could see Nico Williams crosses for Divock Origi at the end there. He slots it in, and you could see Nico Williams in front of the KLOPP giving it loads, and everyone giving it loads back to him. Like, massive night for young players.
Yeah, and to have that many young players, like we'd Nico Williams at right back, we'd Sepp Vandenberg played centre back, we had Queven Keller in goal. Now you could have put the rest of our strongest 11 in with them in the other, filled it up with the other positions, and it still would have been like those key positions to have young players like that. And I thought, they struggled. In all honesty, Kelleher and Vandenberg really struggled in the game. Vandenberg certainly did, but it will have done them no harm either. Do you know what I mean? To get games at Anfield. Look, we probably never see them again. And if I'm being honest about it, they probably won't. Maybe they will have a career, maybe they won't with us. But to get that in a big game against a big team, and Arsenal had a strong team out that night as well. Right? They might have had a fairly second string team, but when you look at who they had playing for them, right, that keeper was a bit of a sham. Martinez, but they still had Ozil playing. They still had Terrera, they had Bellerin, they had Kolasinac, Mustafi. Like, they had a lot of as did we. They had a lot of senior players in there, and I thought it was a really just a great game. As I said, touching on the goals again, like Chamberlain and Origi get 2 crackers, but the Arsenal goals, Willock gets an absolute stormer of a goal, and I loved the Maitland-Niles goal. Ozil keeping it in. Not that I loved it. That sounds stupid. I don't love the goal against Liverpool.
It's a very good goal, though.
But watching it back yesterday, I was like, that's a blatant, a touch of class by Ozil keeping the ball alive. You know what I mean? It was just a great game. Like, I had everything, and then as you touched on as well there, Chris, to get Curtis Jones, a local lad, stepping up to score the winning penalty. It's fairy tale stuff.
Yeah,
and when you're on the right side of that, you're delighted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Bruce took his pen as well, and it's fair. You saw the best and worst of Harvey Elliott in terms of there were times on the ball, he wins the penalty, you're going, this lad looks, and he does look a talent. But I think it's their third. You then also remember, oh shit, he's only 16 though, because he tries to do like a Cruyff turn near the edge of his box, gets caught, and it's 3-1. And you could see him straight away going, oh no. But nobody got his back. Everyone goes, he's only 16 though.
Yeah, but in saying that, Milner makes a mistake for one as well.
Exactly.
And he holds his hand up and says, brilliant. Ozil played in that game, so Kevin Sullivan Ozil did play, and they were raving about him after.
He played well.
He was good in that, in fairness.
He was good. But,
the surprise was the surprise was they took him off. I mean, look at the Arsenal subs that they brought on. They actually got stronger as the game went on. They brought Guendouzi on for Ozil, they brought Ceballos on for Torreira, and then they took Koscielny off and they brought on Tierney, the new £50 million left back. So you're sort of thinking they went stronger. Whereas looking at our subs, we're bringing on Curtis Jones for Naby Keita, and we're bringing on Chiravella for Chamberlain. So our side went younger and younger and younger.
Yeah. We were putting on younger players as they were trying to strengthen and trying to close out the game. Because Unai Emery is still manager, isn't he? Yeah, he is. He is. And you could see him. It was a massive night for him. It felt like a massive night for him to get through that game, but he didn't. But look, that's the end of the month. We've whizzed through that. We're not. Listen, I've had people on to me going, would you not spend more time on the season? There's only so much you can say about these games. And, we try to do a show where we'll do this and then we'll talk random stuff. We might talk about tonight's going to be the coronavirus. We try to do all sorts of stuff. We don't like being, an hour and a half talking about games that everyone's seen. We like to just have our little bits and pieces about it. Let's get on to this coronavirus thing, right? So, first of all, Antico says, breaking news, lads. The Telegraph are reporting that we are going to be handed the title.
Well, box off then.
Right, I'm going to hold that thought, right? Dylan says, was that the illegal Chiravella game? No, I think the illegal Chiravella game was the MK Dons.
MK Dons, yeah.
Let me see. When you discuss COVID-19, ask Chris to explain the idea of Duckworth-Lewis in cricket. Something similar will be used to decide football league places, says Kev O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I've heard that rumour, all right.
So have I, but I'll get to Chris in a minute on that. Before we go
Thanks
on,
for
well, I'm presuming you're the only one that knows about cricket. Let me see. Before we go on, listen, Keith, you're not watching cricket, don't start.
I'm a big cricket fan.
You're not a big cricket fan. You're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're not.
Okay.
Stop it. Listen, you didn't play cricket in the flats. Let's be honest about it.
I didn't play in the flats. No, that is true.
Great, well there we go, we're off to a flyer. But before we go into all this, I just want to let you know, if you're on YouTube, please press the like button, please press the bell icon, and please subscribe. the people that do all this stuff for us are looking at it going, we need to get people to do this more, otherwise is it worth our time doing it on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. So hit all them buttons. On Twitter, share it onto your timeline. That's all I'm asking. Share it onto your timeline, because people have said to us, is it worth it? Do you want to just go back to audio podcasts? No, not really. I like this. I like the interaction I have with people live. So the more you do it, the more people we get, and we're able to do it a hell of a lot more. Dylan said you played rounders in the flats. Probably right. Stephen O'Connor says fighting the league is just bad banter by rival fans, Gav. Won't happen. There's so much left to play for. It has disastrous consequence for everyone, not just us. Euro 2020 will surely be scrapped. Right. First of all, Chris, would you like to try explain the Duckworth-Lewis method to us before we go on?
Okay. So, I don't know the ins and outs of Duckworth-Lewis. Is a way where if games, especially like 50 over games, weather affected, yeah. So say your team bats first, you do 50 overs, you get 250 runs, grand, and you lose 5 wickets. But then the other team's about to bat, but because of rain or that, there's only 20 overs that can be played, so you can't get 250 in 20 overs. So there's a calculation that goes, well, actually, based on 20 overs, based on the realistic run rates now, your target is now going to be 180. Okay. And what happens is, if more rain comes in, they recalculate it, and if you lose a wicket, your score goes up. So it kind of takes into account what you can do. So I suppose what was it, Kev O'Sullivan? I think what he'll probably do is they'll probably look at points per game you'll be getting over the season. What's your points per game been in the last 10? And go, well, based on those projections, Liverpool may get 102, City will get 88, and go that way. So it's like basically a very big spreadsheet. I can't see that flying with a lot of people, to be honest. I mean, the Liverpool one's easy because realistically it probably is going to happen. The City one position's easy, I think 3rd to 7th, that's quite wide open. And I don't know I don't know how in football you can take into account form. Like Leicester are dropping like a stone. Tottenham are so inconsistent, you don't know what you're going to get. Chelsea are very similar, and United are. All 3 of them are great for 3 games, crap for 5. And you're like, I'm not really sure you can do that. I'm not really sure how that works.
Sean Pritchard said, would be better if we saw all the analysts speaking. I presume, Sean, you're talking about this show. We are working on that. But in order for everyone to be seen on this show, the equipment needs to be right, the lighting needs to be right. Otherwise, it just looks like a man that looks like he is in self-isolation or being held hostage in a dark room. So it has to be done right. I promise you, we're working towards all that. The likes of Chris, the likes of Keith, the Grizz has it already. But we are trying to work on more people being on screen for more shows, but that's something we're going to have to look at the end of this season, even if it ends in November 2023. So that's how it is. But thanks for the comment, Sean, but I like to explain that to people. You can ask us anything, we'll tell you, when we don't hide anything. Tyler Smith says, get in, we've won the league. No, we're champions anyway. So first thing I want to do is Keith, I'm going to come to you, right?
Yes.
So this Duckworth-Lewis thing has been explained, right? And I get where that's coming from. Just talk of this void in the league. Now, people will tell you that's just other clubs wanting to avoid it and it won't happen, blah, blah, blah. I can't see this happening at all. Now, don't get me wrong. People can shout at me and go, no, you're just in denial. Fine. If you think I'm in denial, that's absolutely fine. Am I? I could be. I don't know. But Keith, there's so many ramifications to this, from the top to the bottom, left to right, sponsors, prize money, bonuses, contracts. There's so much to this that if they void the season, there's serious issues everywhere.
Yeah, it's a legal minefield, I think, if they void it. I think it's just, I don't know. Look, it's one of these things now, Gav, isn't it? You hear so much, you're getting it from one side that it's just being postponed and then it should be cancelled, and other countries are doing this and other countries are doing that. But the money involved in the Premier League, and again, we said this the other night, not even just in the Premier League, but the likes of Leeds and that in the Championship, who it's the biggest jump, they say, Championship, the Premier League, the money is astronomical, so the teams up there, Leeds, West Brom, they're not going to be happy with voiding league. So I think it's just No, it's a non-runner. And look, I could be wrong. Maybe I have my head in the sand as well, but I think voiding the league is just not going to happen. I think they will look at every other solution. You've got all these cabbages online like Gary Neville and Piers Morgan and everyone else, and you can tell there's an agenda with every single one of them saying, "Oh, scrap it and just start again next season." But that's not realistic. There's no way that can be a realistic option. Out of all the options, that's the least likely to happen, in my opinion. I think they play the games, they shut them down for a month. If they have to shut them down for 2 months, they'll shut them down for 2 months, and then they'll play the games, or they'll just declare that they do the Duckworth Lewis, and they'll declare, right, this is the way we're foreseeing the season finishing. Liverpool are the champions, and it might have an asterisk beside it. I couldn't give two shits if it has 2 asterisks beside it.
No, you see,
we will be the champions, and that'll be the end.
Oh, listen, come here, listen. If this football comes back in a month's time, we're champions. If this football doesn't come back in a month's time, we're champions, right? Like Owen Buck says, legal ramifications for the Premier League are huge if it's voided. They're desperate to get it finished. There's 10 teams in the Championship who could sue the league. The problems will come from relegation and promotion, says Kev O'Sullivan. Championship clubs will have borrowed to get promoted. Banks will want paying. It won't be voided, in his opinion. I don't see it being voided. Now, listen, people have said to me today, and listen, I speak to United fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea sport, fans of Celtic, all sorts of fans, and mates of mine, family members, whatever, and they're saying to me, well, if they didn't void it, and they, just said, right, it stands as it is, and that's the final league table, how would you feel? It's like, we're champions anyway.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking beyond Liverpool. I'm thinking of, if they stop that now, like we're talking about Jack Duckworth's fucking method or whatever it is, right?
Vera Duckworth.
Right, Vera and Jack Duckworth's method. But what I'm saying is, I don't know how they can do that, because you're then presuming what's going to happen, okay?
Well,
and listen, no offense to 50-50 or 20-20 cricket or whatever it is, but
it's more of an agreed format though for that. And
but there you go,
games,
agreed format. So
yeah,
there's nothing in a Premier League rule book that says we can start, playing the pools on Premier League games because we can't get them in.
Also in cricket's a sport where it has to be dry, whereas football, pretty much any weather you can play it. It's very rare a game's cancelled for weather, so that's why that sort of situation is in. But like you said, they scrap the league and they leave as it is. So that would say Bournemouth, Villa, and Norwich are going down. But that means Bournemouth are going down because their goal difference is minus 18, where Watford is minus 17. I guarantee you Bournemouth will be suing the arse off the league. There's 9 games to go. They're saying we can win them. We can win them. But they could also have the likes of Villa saying, well, we're only 2 points behind Watford. We could have got out of that.
Now, we're all going on the presumption here that when we get to April the 3rd, that they can't turn around and go, listen, this has peaked, we're getting control of it, and we're going to start playing games, but in a control manner behind closed doors. We're all going on that presumption. Like, Ant Dicko says, Telegraph are saying the league could be extended to 22 teams, us as champions. How do you extend it to 22 teams? And also, you see, all right, you extend it to 22 teams, so that's the 2 in the championship that will come up. So what about the other 4 teams in the playoff? Do we draw straws? Because you can make as many Lewis Duckworth things wherever you want.
Yeah, I love the Duckworth Lewis.
Yeah, but you can do as many of these as you want. But how do you then do the playoffs? You can do it based on the league form, but how do you do the playoffs then? Because they're completely different then again.
And again, if they don't do the playoffs, Wembley's going to use a hell of a lot of money, and I'm sure Wembley needs those games to pay it off.
There's so many ramifications. Like you could have sponsors turning around and going, say for argument's sake, you have, say, Standard Chartered, just for the crack, right? And they turn around to Liverpool and go, well, we pay you X amount of money for 38 league games, and you've only played 30 or 29. Yeah. And Liverpool say, well, we want to play them. They won't let us play them. Do Standard Chartered then go and sue the Premier League? Because they haven't got what they paid for. Can
New Balance sue Liverpool because they're not getting exposure for the last 4 months of their contract? You know what I mean? Like they can say we're losing revenue because our brand isn't being shown. There's a load of shit that can.
Because New Balance will want that picture of Henderson lifting the trophy with his New Balance Liverpool shirt on. If they don't have that, then that affects their value. But if you take away from a Liverpool situation for the moment, if you avoid the league, imagine if you're a Leicester fan. It'd be the first time you got the Champions League in since you last won it. Or Sheffield United, it'd be the first time you got in Europe. In fact, I don't even know if Sheffield United have ever been into Europe.
Not in my lifetime, anyway.
Yeah, so there's two clubs where Sheffield United are going, we could be in Europa League here. And do you know what? I want it to happen because I want to see what Chris Wilder can do in Europe. Because unlike Burnley, I think they play very, very progressive football. They still have a direct style, of course they do. But it's Sheffield United are a horrible, difficult side to play. Not because they play physical, because they play just it's a very weird system,
Very similar to Wolves, actually, isn't it, this year, Chris? Wolves go into Europe and they're causing ripples in there because they play their three at the back, their wing backs, you know what I mean? It's something a bit different. Sheffield United are even more than that, they're
overlapping centre back.
Overlapping centre backs, yeah, geez.
Overlapping centre backs playing Marseille, be like, Charles, it'd make you want to watch Europa League just to see. I just want to see what they can do, but then say, well, the league's void, but great Liverpool to win the title. But if you're a Sheffield United fan, you're going, hang on, I've worked my bollocks off, and we're probably the second best promoted side in ever to come up. I think the other side that we can say has done better promotion wise is Nottingham Forest in the 80s.
It's very weird. Like, there's loads of comments in here. Dylan wants a quick question answer. Do you consider a Solero an ice cream?
Yes.
No, ice lolly.
What has ice cream in it?
No, it's a lolly.
Yeah,
but it has ice cream in it.
Well, ice pop as we'd call it over here.
Yeah.
I put it down as an ice pop as well. I think if it has gear around the edge of the ice cream, it's an ice pop for me.
It has ice cream in it.
That's what around it.
Gear, whatever that gear is called.
Sorbet.
Yeah, sorbet. There you go. Jesus Christ.
Right.
It was far from sorbet. You were brought up.
Stephen, the flats we lived on it, going down on sorbet.
Yeah, dipping Soleros in cabbage water. Come here, Stephen Kingsbury says the playoffs will be voided. But you see, Stephen, people are planning. Like, there's clubs out there that know they can't win the championship and they're saying to themselves, we need to get into the playoffs. The likes of Nottingham Forest say. People that say Nottingham Forest traditionally a Premier League club. They're not a fucking Premier League club. They haven't been for a long time. And I would guess probably 20 years. I don't think they've been in the Premier League, have they?
Probably not, no. But if Nottingham Forest get to a playoff final, that's 45,000 Nottingham Forest fans probably paying about 50 quid a ticket each. That's a lot of money that Forest can't turn away.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, Tyler Smith is asking, will the Champions League go ahead? I see that being the one that's the problem, because
they're the casualties, aren't they? The European ones.
Yeah, and then obviously the opening ceremony for the Euro to 2020 is in Italy. So it's now but we're saying all that, but do Italy have control of it now? In the next 3 weeks will they be able to get something sorted, get the football back playing in the next month, and then we're all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen Kingsbury says the playoffs did not used to exist, but they do now. They do now. Like, you know what I mean? The Premier League didn't exist, but it does now. There's so much wrong with voiding a season, and I'm not saying that from a Liverpool point of view. I'm saying that from a football point of view. Like, the Coventry owner has said today, if they void these leagues, Coventry City will go bust.
Yeah.
Bolton will go again. Bolton have been once. They'll go again. The government have got to think of a way of not paying your bills, but almost like give like a 3-month waiver, because if you void the leagues, I guarantee that's close to £1 million that those clubs are losing, and League One, League Two clubs, they won't survive. And and we're very proud of the fact that in England we have four professional leagues, plus we have the conference, plus not many other countries have pyramids that deep.
Yeah.
If they void leagues and that, then they're going to. Now look, I think they're going to have to postpone it. Obviously, they can't play it in the current climate because it seems to be more and more people are getting this illness. So they are going to have to postpone it, and the talk is May is going to be the peak month when it hits the UK.
I'm reading that now that KLOPP King is saying the virus is going to peak May or June.
Which is why in April they may do behind closed doors to get some games done.
Yeah.
Postpone again and finish it off in the summer. If they finish it off in the summer, look, we all know the Euros. It's not happening.
No, that's not happening.
The Euros is 2021. The Olympics ain't happening, so they're not going to happen. So you can play them in the summer. then have the break, have the pre-season. You can start the league in September time, and one of the ways to save a bit of time and legs and players is being off the first international break, which is only shitty friendlies anyway, which no one's asked about.
Owen Borg says, have a 5-a-side tournament next Saturday between the teams that are left to decide the Champions League. Bring your own water, and it's a £5 each. That's not a bad idea. It's not the worst idea I've heard. Genuinely, it's not the worst idea I've heard. Kev O'Sullivan says, player going to need a pre-season when it comes under control. The top 2 or 3 will get automatic promotion in the Championship. The people that end up in the playoff positions will absolutely go to war over that. Screwball says they'll all be dead in the UK soon, so it won't matter at all. No, I don't think so. I can see them getting under control, but I think people have to self-police themselves. It's just that simple, you know. And like, I can tell you, people listen. Loads of people are watching this and commenting here are Irish. Some people aren't. I can tell you, yesterday they announced that schools were closing for 2 weeks, and when I say mayhem ensued, absolute mayhem ensued. There was panic buying. There was people stockpiling toilet rolls. You know, everything
knocking the bollocks out of each other in supermarkets.
They were killing each other in supermarkets. They were closing supermarkets because of it. You know,
I went shopping.
But the funny thing is, Chris, before you go on, the funny thing is, right, they're telling you not to be in large crowds, and then they're basically pushing hundreds of people at a time into supermarkets to stand in fucking warm supermarkets with their mouth up against the back of someone's head because they're in a queue for 3 hours, and then this is meant to work. You know what I mean? It's mad. People, the only way this will stop is the people just self-police themselves. That's the only way it'll work. Go on, Chris. What were you saying?
Yeah, it's similar where I am. I went with my daughter to pick a few bits. I went to Aldi, and it's like half the shelves are empty. My daughter's going, has it been robbed? And like, you have the staff going, you only have two of every item. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and you sort of going, I only came from like my weekly shop. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell, you know. You can't get a toilet roll anywhere. You're like, oh my god, it doesn't even affect you in that way. The toilet roll thing is bizarre.
So, before we go on to our last 5 minutes and some random questions I'm going to ask you, it's a very simple question. What do you think the outcome of this is? Keith, I'll let you go first.
How the season pans out.
Yeah, how do you? What in your heart of hearts? What way do you think?
In heart of hearts, I don't think it can be voided with no winner or no champion. I think that's just shithousery by dickhead fans. I think, you know, the realistic one is the close it down for at least a month as they've done. They'll take stock of it then. I don't know what difference it's going to make if the UK are sort of on a trajectory to just let everyone get the virus and anyway and hope their herd immunity thing can work out for them, which is fucking weeks away from happening. I think they come back and they will play a couple of games behind closed doors, and if that doesn't work out, I think they'll just wrap up the league in the positions that everyone is in. Okay. And they'll come to an agreement with all the clubs that this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Chris?
Similar. I think they're going to try and get games played, even if it is behind closed doors, and play if needs to be played into the summer. If it gets to a point where that's not possible because of, you know, the pandemic gets worse or it's not, then I think then they go down the route of right, the league is that's where it is, you know, and if it means certain clubs miss out on Europe by a point with 3 games to play, that's unfortunately the way it is. And I think most clubs will be a bit more accepting that, as in, look, we tried to play the games. Yeah. It's not humanly possible. I mean, I think that's the best way. I mean, me personally is you should postpone it, get this league finished, and then once this league's finished, worry then about the next year. Because in a nice possible way, the next season hasn't happened. So realistically, we're all worried about something that hasn't happened. So we don't know what the league's going to do. We don't know who people are going to buy. But this one is, because it's so far down the line, I think you've got to find a way of finishing it. If we were 10 games in and they said we're going to avoid the league, I think most people would be a bit annoyed, but they go, but it's only 10 games in.
Killer King says the FA chief is saying he can't see how the season carries on. Killer King, if you want to tell me where you got that from, I'll absolutely go and have a look. Screwball says, read somewhere that if 75% of games are played, the league stays as is. I've read that as well. I've had two people on to me with regards to it, but it does not mention natural disasters and pandemics in in the ruling, but 75%.
But it
of games,
doesn't matter. 75% of games says 75% of games.
Yeah. Let me see. So this is the way I see it happening. The Euros won't happen. So
Gone.
that window between, say, the 13th of June and 13th of July is now open for football domestically, as far as I'm concerned. I think they will get to April the 4th and they will have a look at it. I think you'll end up with another extension on top of that. I think you're probably looking late April, early May. I could see it starting back in May. And I think they're probably looking at it and saying to themselves, right, we have to... because if you look at it, it's the 16th of March now. You're probably looking at 8 weeks to the end of the season, right? I think they're going to probably look at start of May through June, you know what I mean, and through July. And they're probably going to have to condense it into 8 weeks somewhere there, May and June, and try to get away even into the second week of July. That's the only way I think they're going to be able to do it. Will the league be voided? I'd be very surprised if it is. If it's voided, it will... I can't see them just saying nothing stands. I think it will end up being the 75% rule, or the league stays as is, although I don't agree with it. That's the way I think it will go. Dermot McCallan says should be in the FA Cup replays from next, and also the League Cup. That's for next season. Next season's not to worry. I think I agree with Chris. You sort out the season that hasn't been completed before you go on to the season that hasn't even been started. You know?
Well, I suppose you can sort it. You can get, if you decide that we're going to run in and this runs on, we'll say next season, right, this is all... We're going to lose these games. We're going to lose international fucking friendlies. Do you know what I mean? And try and catch up that way. Because, I mean, we're having a Winter World Cup now. I know that took a lot of time to prep and organise. I still don't know how the fuck that's happening. But, you know, if they have to try and squeeze it in, I think they want to finish the season. I genuinely think they want to get this season finished, no matter when it happens. I think they want to finish it.
I think I think I heard I think it was 5 Live. I think they were saying... to complete the games we've got left, you need a minimum, I think it said 6 weeks, where you can do like 3 games a week and get it boxed. But that was 6 games a week, not without Europe. That's the one I still can't quite get my head around how they're going to do Europe, because at the moment
Europe's gone.
I think if it's locked down, so are you going to avoid Champions League for a year? Possibly, but again,
each country are going to have to take on their own merit. And people have said to me, "Oh, well, if the Champions League gets called off, we remain European champions." No, we don't.
No, we don't.
They'll basically turn around and go, "No, there's no winner.
There's no winner.
There's no winner. That's it."
We did go to the World Club Cup then next year as well as the reigning champions. So.
Yeah, we could do. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's for me, each country's going to have to take this on its own merits. You may see England start back on the 4th of April. You may see France start back on the 20th of April. Italy could be a bit further. Although Italy seems the worst, it's probably the most down the line. So Italy could probably come back before England. All depending on how England is policing itself, and that's what it's down to. You know?
I mean, worst case, if they do have to avoid the 2 European competitions, which is not ideal, is... Although financially it's not great, because there is money that big clubs will lose. In terms of who plays in the next year, if you finish the leagues, then it's the same as always. It's the usual top 4, top 3. The only thing you don't have is a Europa League winner getting the Champions League spot. So again, you're gonna have to just do it through the playoffs as normal. So although it's a ball ache and people financially would lose out on it, I think that actually is less of a hit. It's getting the domestic league sorted first.
Well, and you have to remember, like, you have to finish leagues for the whole, the league rankings and stuff like that. We're in Europe as to who gets 3 places, who gets 4. You know the way it goes, the coefficient, isn't it? There's loads to it. There's if you sat down and listed the amount of things that would be impacted by saying, nah, this doesn't work, and we're not going to do it. It's mad.
Well, did you see Rummenigge's tweet about, we did in Germany? I think they're talking about cancelling the league, just finishing it, and Rummenigge's raring up saying, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. There's so much money involved for sponsors that we still have to collect." So a lot of the clubs are still thinking about, listen, we don't want to bleed and void this. We need to get this money in, and that's one of the biggest clubs in the world are saying that.
As a matter of interest, who's top of the Bundesliga?
Bayern Munich.
Are they top?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised he said that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he said it as well. But see, that's the thing. Like, he's looking at it purely from a money and sponsorship point of view, and he's come out and said that.
But if you're even looking for a bit more of a human point of view, or not null person's not the right face, but an old punter point of view, is while these games are being cancelled or postponed, there's catering staff, there's stewards. They ain't getting paid. They don't get paid until the games happen. So it's all right. Dickheads on Twitter say, just cancel the league. Okay, yeah, let's cancel the league. That's about there's quite a lot of people there who work at clubs who ain't now going to get paid for 10 games that they would bank on, because you would bank on the league happening. I understand why you can't do them because of the health situation, but you need to play those games somewhere, because those people need to be paid, need to be fed. If you don't, exactly. who's going to look after them?
Yeah,
and that's taken. You're dead right, Chris. That's the human aspect of it. It's all well and good. We don't want it to get cancelled because we want Liverpool to win the league.
I'm very open, Keith. I don't care what happens. I consider Liverpool as champions.
Exactly. I'm very open there, Gav. I agree with you 100%. But and this is I don't want to keep saying this. I don't want to dumb down coronavirus, COVID-19. It's a very serious thing, and people are dying over it. And there's more important things than football. But the nonsense that's coming out about voiding and just it's all just shit play by other fans or celebrity fans looking to catch Liverpool fans, to bait them and to fish for likes. You know what I mean? Like it's a nonsense.
We haven't even mentioned the TV companies. Like BT Sport, and anybody like that buys the rights for the Premier League around the world. It's they want their money's worth. They're not giving billions. Like, are they going to turn around to the Premier League tomorrow and go, well, we want 10% of this money for this season back? Are the FA going, or the Premier League going to do that? I can't see it. Dermot McCallion says Leeds and West Brom could miss out on 100 million. No way the league gets void. That's an interesting one, because it's about 120 million for going up, right? That's just with getting up there, your TV money and your parachute payments. If you go back down, there's no problem. Leeds and West Brom could literally go together and go, listen, we're throwing 40 million at this in legal fees, and because it's worth 3 times that to us, and we're going to go out to the Premier League, and they could end up delaying the Premier League because of it.
You see, Neil Axon made a good point about West Brom. Is this season is the last season they get parachute payments. So if they don't go up this year, they've got a budget for no parachute payments. But the fact that I think they're a bit of a distance. They're most likely going to get first or second. They'll have now budgeted their whole ethos on we're a Premier League club, which means we get X amount. So if they go, we'll cancel the leagues, you stay in the Championship. They stay in the Championship without the Premier League they thought, and they ain't got parachute payments, which means I bet you half that squad they've got now they're going to have to get rid of because they won't be able to afford it.
Exactly.
So so then that knackers there, and unfortunately it always happens with football clubs. If they lose money, it's not the footballers that lose out. It'll be the canteen lady. It'll be the groundsman. It'll be the tea person.
They call auxiliary staff,
yeah, they all go, and it's always the way with these sort of things. Unfortunately, the most vulnerable or the lowest paid people are always the first to get hit by this sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
If you want to get, the other thing that I know people say, there are more important things than football, and I agree there are. But I can't remember who put it out there. Said the thing people forget about football is yes, it's a social thing, but it's an escapism. And people say it should be like that. But life's hard. And sometimes the only bit of joy or escapism people can have is watching their team under the kicker, watching their team on the telly. If you take that off people for a month, 2 months, 6 months, and say, it doesn't matter, some people, that's gonna crack them. And that's probably not the right phrase, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm coming from. Football can be a very good escapism from the hardship of life. So people need to be a bit more considered when they just throw out these stupidity things. I'll just get rid of it.
Let me see. Stephen Kingsbury says, let's be honest, it's a bloody mess. It absolutely is, but it's a very serious situation worldwide, and people will say, there's much more things about football. Yes, there is much more important things than football, but we're a football podcast and we're discussing football and the implications and I suppose the ramifications and the results of season being voided, the season suspended, the season that's finished out. That's what we're here for. And we're never discussing it as this is more important than people's health. No, it's not that. But we have to discuss what's going on. Let me see. Transfer window in my eyes will be chaos. Players will want to change after the strange season. It may be. Someone else asked, what happens if it runs into July and people are only under contract till the 30th of June? Very fair point. There's loads going on. Liverpool champs 2020 says all this shite about the coronavirus. Its fans are relying on it, and it's going to be even sweeter now. It's United fans that are relying on it, and it's going to even be sweeter now. I'm very open. They can void it. They can I can't see them voiding it. If they end it now on 29 games and give us the title, I'll take it, but I don't think it's right. And if they can get the season finished, whether that takes up to July, August, September, absolutely go and do that. Whatever needs to be done. I agree with the whole idea of let's affect the season that hasn't started yet more than this season. If you get it. Go on, Keith.
The fact that we're so far ahead as well, you know, to say, oh no, we're just going to scrap this, you know, Liverpool are playing record pace setting season, our 2 wins or 1 win, whatever it is now, away from clinching the earliest title ever. But now we're going to avoid it. Like other leagues around Europe are, you know, 2-3 teams are within 4 and 5 points. You know, Spain is close, Italy is close, Germany is close, France isn't close, but it's closer than it usually is. You know, I think PSG are probably 12 points ahead or something. Am I saying that? Portugal, I think, is close. Holland is close. Like they're all close, you know, but their one is a blade canter. You know what I mean? And they say, oh no, look, tough shit. I know you've played more than 75% of the season, but we're not declaring a champion here. Like that's going to cause bleeding all sorts.
Yeah, I know.
Unless it's an end of world situation, you know what I mean? Unless it's a thing that physically can't be done. If it can be done, then the right thing should be done. And the right thing from a purely football point of view, forgetting about the coronavirus and the deaths and all, you don't want to go down that road. From a purely football and common sense point of view is to finish out the season and declare the champions and finish off all the correct, you know, relegation, promotion, Europe, all this sort of thing. To get that nailed down. That's the common sense. And as I say, unless the fucking earth is wiped out, that should be the only thoughts. This voiding thing is absolute nonsense.
Yeah. Owen Book says City will take legal action against the league if they hand us the title. Now, there you go. That's a perfectly valid point. 9 games left. There'll be riots if they void us as KLOPP King. I think there will be. Ant Dicko says, end of the day, the lads have earned the league. It's not like we're only a few points ahead, deserved champions. We absolutely are. If we were to beat City in our next league game, we would officially be champions to Stephen Kingsbury. Yes, that's we would, presuming it goes ahead on April the 5th. If it goes beyond May the 17th, they will probably, if they started on May the 24th, they would just start with, you know, our next game, which is Everton. That's what they do. I think they just start the fixtures again, you know. But look, it's been a very eventful night. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. There's loads to chat about. We'll be back on Sunday night. I don't know who's going to be on, but I'll sort it out between now and then. It's been a brilliant chat. The people in the chat room have been absolutely amazing. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep hitting the bell icon, keep spreading the word, and keep sharing this to your Twitter timeline, friends, family, and even people you don't like, even people you feel like infecting with the coronavirus. But look, that's it. Chris, it's been amazing. Thanks a million for joining us.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Good stuff. Keith, thanks a million for joining me. It's been great.
Pleasure as always.
Good stuff. That's been the Fatback 4 Daily for Friday night. I'm off to put my 7-year-old to bed because she's been on YouTube for about 8 hours. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.
It's mad, isn't it? Like a Date with Destiny season review, and we breeze through the matches, and that's not a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? That's no bad thing. It's just a situation that's fucking happening now.